Okay, hello everybody, it is Victoria here from Inspiration Den. It is Tuesday, so we are here for our Facebook Live video. So last week we had a really good chat and we talked all about changing our thoughts and our sentences, and particularly changing the word should into could, and how just changing that one small word changed the whole feeling of the thought or the sentence, and what a difference that made. So what we wanted to do today was take it a little bit further. So changing the word should, which is for me, feels like a very negative word. It feels like it's full of expectation and guilt and feeling like I have to do things even though I don't want to. Changing that into a could feels a lot more hopeful, and it gives us a lot more choice and a lot more control about what we're going to do going forwards. So today we are going to take that one step further, and we're going to change the should into a could, and then we're going to change it into an I can and I will. So if we just go back and look at some of those same sentences that we looked at last week, we can see how that works. Okay, so for example, last week we looked at I know I should get into shape. Just feels like it's never going to happen, doesn't it? You know, I really feel, well, I know I should get into shape. It's never going to happen. We're never going to take any steps forwards to get towards that goal or that aim. Changing that into I know I could get into shape, well, already that takes away a lot of that negativity. It takes away a lot of that guilt. And then if we change it again and we say I know I could, I can and I will get into shape, the thing that comes into my head when I say that is then, well, how am I going to do that? Brings very much automatically into an action. So it gives a lot more energy into the sentence. So if you say, I know I can and I will get into shape, and I go, okay, great, I can and I will do that. And how am I going to do that? What do I need to do to achieve that? What do I need to do to get there? What actions do I need to take? So we can do some planning, we can put some actions into place. And we know they only have to be tiny, small things. They don't have to be big things, just very tiny little small things to get us in that, moving in that direction. Okay, so let's take a different example. So we had another example. I really should clear up before I leave the house. I really should clear up before I leave the house. Again, it just feels like it's never going to happen. It's just not going to be something that's a priority for us, is it? If we change that to I really could clear up before I leave the house, okay, it's given us some choice. I could do that. Choices are, I could choose to do that now before I leave the house. I could choose to do it later when I get home. I could choose to ask someone else to help me. There are choices there, okay? I can and I will clear up before I leave the house. Feels so much more positive. It's not necessarily that we'll get all of it done, but we can perhaps prioritise. So maybe it's that actually we really just need to put the milk away before we leave the house, and the rest of it we can do later. So it's clarifying, it's prioritising. Just to pause there slightly and just to check in with those three different options that we have. So should, the word should is a very negative word. It's filled with all sorts of negative things. Paul's just mentioned procrastination there. Absolutely, it's exactly that, isn't it? You know you should do things, but you're just not going to do it. You're going to put it off as long as you can, and it's not great for us at all, is it? So should is a very negative word. It's one that we should avoid at all costs if we can. The word could, automatically, it just feels like a much lighter word. It feels like there's choice there. It feels like we have some control. And then if we change that to I can and I will, just, can you not feel that energy moving? That energy lifting? Right, okay, I can and I will do it. I feel so much more energetic. It feels more hopeful. It feels more purposeful, and it feels so much more positive. So if we can change the thoughts that we have in our minds, as well as the sentences that come out of our mouths, changing those just very slightly makes a massive difference to our mindset, to our happiness levels, to our well-being, and to the things that we manage to do, to our productivity. So it's great all round. So just the final step really is just to say that when we are putting the I can and I will into our sentences, we just said it automatically then wants us to put actions in place. Okay, so we can think about prioritizing. Okay, what are the priorities? What needs to be done? What has to be done? What can wait till later? What can somebody else do? Okay, prioritizing is a really, really great thing for us to think about. And being more specific as well. If we take the goal about getting into shape, it's so generalized, isn't it, that actually it's too big, it's too wide, and we need to be more specific. So if you think about getting into shape, perhaps you could think about, well, actually I would like to be able to walk around the block without getting out of breath. I'd like to be able to walk up and down the stairs without getting out of breath. It can be just simple things, but something that actually you know if you're going to achieve it or not. So being more specific is a really great thing for us to look at, clarifying exactly what it is we're trying to do, how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, why we're going to do it. Absolutely be quite specific and clarify what it is you're trying to do. And then putting those actions in place. How are you going to do it? What steps do you need to take to get towards those goals? And it doesn't have to be a big goal. It could just be going back to the example of clearing up before you leave the house. It's not a big goal, but it's something that, you know, needs to be done at some point. So actually, what actions do we need to take to get there? Who's going to do it? How we're going to do it? What's important? What can wait? And all those kind of things. So thank you to everybody watching, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care, everybody.